Sup, players? Whoa, glasses! So I realized that my last video was actually pretty stupid long. I know, a whole 10 minutes of your life gone by. But didn't you guys have so much fun with it? I mean, I had so much fun! But I'm still sorry about that, so I'm going to remedy that by trying to keep all of my future videos under 5 minutes. I mean, after all, this isn't Nam, there are rules here. Now, I know that 5 minutes is already longer than some of your attention spans, so sorry, that's all I got. Okay, let's be honest, I talk way too much to legitimately keep this rule. I hate it when I do not push the record button. Some of you may know that I celebrated a birthday recently. I tell people that I'm 23, which now means that I'm in my prime, thank you very much. Get it? Because 23 is a prime number. Anyway, in my family, it's traditional to do what is called the exchanging of the gifts. And since my mom's birthday and my birthday are right next to each other every year that happens, we exchange the gifts. And that means, you guessed it, new climbing shoes. Shiny. You know, I really like climbing because it's challenging. It's a puzzle and it's exercise that's geared toward guys like me who have high strength to weight ratios. And not because of our strength. And having just got climbing shoes in the mail makes me really want to climb something like my fridge or my balcony or the social ladder. Okay, maybe not the social ladder.
Let's get Cray, turn it all the way up. Got a double dose of bass. You love it so much. Get out of your head, get out of your skull. If you ain't getting Cray, then you ain't got a pulse. A lunatic in town bomb just got dropped. I get Cray all day, it's my full-time job. Wild like a wolf pack, howling at the moon. Attack, you've been bitten by the boom. I ain't going nowhere. Let the roof cave in. About to blow up something. Here goes nothing. Watch me hit the Cray button.
You know who was also probably a great climber of things? King David! He even said so himself. With your help, I can advance against a troop. With my God, I can scale a wall. I like to think that David and I probably could have related in a lot of ways. I mean, not in the I'm the king of all of Israel kind of way, or even the survived being hunted by a lunatic killer kind of way, nor the I killed a 10-foot giant with a smooth stone kind of way. But David was a singer, and he was a dancer, and he was a man after God's own heart. He was a courageous and passionate guy, and his greatest passion was bringing glory to the God of Israel, whether that was trusting God for protection in battle or singing and dancing with joy for him in the streets. At the same time, David was a big, lustful, and murderous screw-up. I mean, the stuff he did was pretty low. I mean, even if you saw it in a movie today, you would probably just be like, ugh. He did that? And this is something that's great about biblical stories, is because the heroes and the protagonists of the story aren't perfect, amazing, awesome characters. They're really weak guys. They're human. Even in David's failures, I mean, I feel like I can relate to him. I mean, I've never slept with a guy's wife, nor did I try to cover it up by calling him home so he could sleep with her. And no, I didn't end up killing that same guy so that no one could find out. But I've had my fair share of failures, and not all of them were undue to my wandering and lustful eyes. By the grace of God, however, David was actually very in tune with the Spirit of God and how his actions affected his spiritual health. He had this great awareness of how his sin and selfishness were not just hurting the world around him, but also his inner being. When I refused to confess my sin, I was weak and miserable, and I groaned all day long. Day and night your hand of discipline was upon me. My strength evaporated like water in the summer heat. And while he never escaped the consequences of his sin, I mean, one of his sons tried to overthrow him and kill him. He was never allowed to build the temple that he wanted to build for God because of his violence. God did extend overwhelming forgiveness to David when he owned up to what he did. Finally, I confessed all my sins to you and stopped trying to hide them. I said to myself, I will confess my rebellion to the Lord. And you forgave me. All my guilt is gone. One thing I love about David is how honest he was with God about what he was thinking and how he was feeling. I mean, you and I can actually read these diary entries that David wrote to God in the book of Psalms. Not all of those times are great. In fact, many of them were incredibly dark. But David always ended on a note of truth about how good God was. I mean, just check out Psalm 13. "O Lord, how long will you forget me? Forever? How long will you look the other way? How long must I struggle with anguish in my soul, with sorrow in my heart every day? How long will my enemy have the upper hand? Turn and answer me, O Lord my God. Restore the light to my eyes, or I will die. Don't let my enemies gloat, saying, 'We have defeated him.' Don't let them rejoice at my downfall. But I trust in your unfailing love. I will rejoice because you have rescued me, and I will sing to the Lord because he has been so good to me." He always came back to this central idea that God is a great deliverer. He is an awesome being. He's a wonderful giver of love. And those truths sustained David throughout his lifetime. Despite his incredible failures, David received one of the most beautiful compliments that a man could ever get. God himself calls him a man after his own heart in 1 Samuel 13:14 and Acts 13:22. And I think this is the most encouraging part of the story because there are so many of us out there who subconsciously think that we are not good enough for God's forgiveness. Listen, if God can bestow an honor like that on a guy like David, knowing in advance everything that he was going to do in his life, what puts you beyond God's grace? Nothing! And the great news is that God extends this grace to you and I right now through someone who is so much better than David, Jesus. Jesus never failed morally. And he gave his life so that you and I could actually have his moral record for free. So that we wouldn't have to be concerned about balancing the good and the bad deeds in our lives before God. And that's awesome. David's life is such an encouragement to me because in spite of David's failures, God redeemed him so well. Tommy Nelson puts it this way: God can hit a straight lick with a crooked stick. And he chooses to do the same thing with me every day.
Put your vibes in the sky if you feel it alive. Float it up in the air, 'cause you don't care. Cray bands on.
Push the record button. Push the record button. Paranoid. Changing. Low battery, low battery, low battery.